Hi, this is Celeste with the Celeste Report, and today we are having Sheriff Mack come back because there is a lot to discuss on things like the border and geopolitical situations. So, welcome back, Sheriff Mack.
Celeste, thanks so much for having me again, and thanks for all that you do for the cause of liberty.
Well, and thanks for what you do. This is a team, and I think not everybody thinks about that all the time, and we all need to be working together
Yeah,
within the giftings that God has called us to.
yeah, and we've all been called to this work, and everybody should just do one simple thing: do what you can. No
Yes.
one's saying to sell the farm and doing this full time. I do it full time. My wife and I do it full time, and it's because we finally, after doing this for about 30 years, we came to a position, a point that we could do it. And so my wife and I spend about 12 hours a day on all of this and working with people and sheriffs and freedom groups and uh, anybody that's simply wanting to join the cause of liberty. We're working with them, but especially uniting the people in each county with their sheriff, which is the most powerful law enforcement officer in the United States. And so we still probably need to talk about that a little bit, but
Yes.
we've got to do what we can, donate what you can, get involved, join our CSPOA posse, work with your sheriff, get your freedom groups to work with your sheriff, contact your sheriff, let him know what you want him to do, and we'll be talking about a lot of that throughout the next hour or so. So uh, buckle up and be ready, everybody.
Yeah, I think our faith, and whether you're a person of faith or whether you're a Christian or not a Christian, most religions do believe one of the cornerstones is freedom. Our country was founded on freedom,
Yeah.
and it is an action word. Freedom is an action word. You have to engage in it. You cannot be a couch potato on this one, everyone. We saw what couch potato the last 4 years did for us, and we just absolutely can't do that right now. So let's dig in. What's going on at the border, and how are the constitutional sheriffs mobilizing in preparation for, hopefully, God willing, January 20th?
Yes, and I think that's a key question. I really do not trust what the Biden administration has done to allow terrorists and CCP dissidents and uh, cartels, Venezuelan gangs, along with many others. Um, I like the name of the Venezuelan gang, Tren de Agua. Doesn't that sound great? But a water train. Why do they call themselves a water train? Anyway, I speak a little Spanish, and I never got that one. But the point is this, folks: there are horrible criminals and terrorists in our country because of the Biden administration, and they don't care. They don't care that they're here. They will do nothing about it except promote propaganda that we should not try to deport these people. And people are just seeking asylum and they're so wonderful. That might be the case in some of them, but you can't differentiate that situation. Uh, you have to go after all of them if they're here illegal. If you're going to get to the gangs and cartels and terrorists, you can't say, oh yeah, well, oh yeah, this one can stay and this one can't. No, that's not the way it works. But we do, and President Trump already said this. We do want to find the most dangerous ones first. Of course, that's any that's any situation. Okay, in the military or in any law enforcement uh, tight emergency situation, you address the most dangerous, pressing issue first. Okay, so that's what he's doing. He's smart. That's a good lawman, actually, right there. So, but I don't want to wait for all the constitutional sheriffs to get involved in this. I want all the sheriffs involved in this. I don't care if you're constitutional or you're progressive or whatever. This is a huge national catastrophe. This is a huge national security problem. And Celeste, I know that you probably looked at the map just like I did of the United States about 3 days after the election. And it was showed several times. Trump won 85% of the counties in this country. 85% geographical counties, the geography of this whole thing, the geographical map that showed he won 85%. That is huge.
Yes.
We just want those 85%, those counties with their sheriffs to work with the people. Folks, do not forget this point. The sheriff only has one boss. One. And it's all the voters. That's not very one, is it? But the citizenry is his boss. He reports to no one else except you. He needs to hear from you. Now look, I've been doing my job. I've been doing what I promised you we would do. Trying to work with sheriffs and working with sheriffs and getting sheriffs now to work with Tom Homan and the Trump administration so that we can make all of you safer. If you and your group would contact your sheriff and tell him you want to help and you want to be part of his posse, first become a member of the CSPOA posse at cspoa.org so that we can train you how to work with your sheriff. Yes.
So could you give us some of the details of, not the confidential stuff, obviously, but just a few details of how the sheriffs are working with the porters are to kind of get things rolling?
Okay. All I know is that I've been in touch with Tom Homan and that we've shared some conversations. And then I told him other sheriffs that he needed to be working with. And all I know is that some of those he has contacted. I don't know what their sit down strategy is. I pray that they do plan to make that plan with sheriffs. And so look at what we do know. We do know that there's been many sheriffs that have come forward and said, we want to help.
Yes.
And there's several across the Eastern Seaboard that have done that. There's several in Florida that have done that. Sheriff Richard Jones in Butler County, Ohio, has come out and said that. A few sheriffs in California have said it. A few sheriffs in Arizona, where I live. I live in Maricopa County, where we have a brand new sheriff. Even though he's old blood, he's also new blood. He worked for the sheriff's office about 40 years. He used to be the undersheriff under Joe Arpaio. He's ready to get to work to help Tom Homan and help our country and help the people of Maricopa County, which is about 5 million people, and get the criminal element out of our county and out of our state. Now, look, right now, I would say this. The Trump transition team - Tom Homan needs to hear from every sheriff in the country that is willing to assist in this great endeavor. Now, has this ever happened? Have mass deportations ever happened before? Yes. Barack Obama did some. Not very many, but he did some. And he did a lot more than people think, until he changed his mind that the Democrat Party told him, no, we want him here. We want him to get registered to vote. So then he stopped. However, President Eisenhower, after World War II, deported about 1.5 million people. So it can happen. It should happen. And if we're going to take America back and make us safe again, then we have to do this. Hopefully, in all of this, they will be making some arrests. when they find terrorists that are on the watch list and that they're already wanted for other terroristic threats and crimes, then they should be doing that. I think they'll find some of the same criminal element when they go to arrest some of the other gangs. Now, you brought up January 20th. Are these groups that are all now here by the tens of thousands, these terrorists and cartels and gang members, are they planning something before the vote is certified on January 8th? Are they planning to do something before he takes office on January 20th? Or are they going to wait till he gets in and then really hit America at that time? Folks, what do we know? We know that these groups are here, and we know they hate America, and they would do anything to destroy Trump and America. So thinking that they're going to be more user-friendly and that they're not going to hit us, they're just here to enjoy America. That's probably a big farce. They didn't come here to play nice. They're going to hit us. And the best way to prepare for that is to work with your sheriff. As sheriffs have been to training, other sheriffs have told me the training they've been to, and that they plan to do some violent acts, but they also plan to hit our grid, the power source for America, and our water supply. So, folks, when you go to discuss this with your local officials, make sure that they know that, because other departments besides your sheriff's office need to be involved in all of that preparation. So hopefully, with working with the Trump transition and you working with your sheriff, that we will get his posse ready, which is all of you that want to volunteer to be part of that. And if the sheriff is reluctant, you need to address that, because most every sheriff's office already utilizes a search and rescue squad, which is completely made up of volunteers, which totally is a posse. Some other sheriffs have their own posse that can respond at a moment's notice. I call it the Minuteman posses. That's what they're for, to help the sheriff in whatever he needs, emergencies, natural disasters, whatever it is, a power outage, communications down, it doesn't matter. Whatever the sheriff needs you to do is his prerogative to do it. But we completely encourage and recommend every sheriff to have a posse that he can depend on in those situations. Should he have some of you armed? Should he have all of you armed? That's up to him. But I would highly recommend that everybody take the necessary training and that you are able to be armed. Again, that's up to the sheriff. One other thing that we need to address in all of this is that Trump said he wants to mobilize the military to help with this. Yeah. I believe that the only legitimate place for the military to be is at the border. They have jurisdiction there. And before you can deport, you've got to stop the influx of this horrible invasion of America. So first, stop the invasion. And that's what the military can do and should have done before now. And so put them there, use the National Guard in the states, and use the posses and the sheriff's offices in the counties and cities where they can utilize that. Folks, this is a huge plan. It's absolutely vital that we get involved. And folks, this isn't going to happen if you're not involved. Okay? Remember the first 3 words of the Constitution? We the people. And what were we warned by the founders to be? Eternally vigilant. You can't be that couch potato or the basement potato and think that this is all going to be okay. You've got to get involved.
Yeah, because there's millions. Do you know about how many millions of people are here illegally?
Yeah, I do. It's more than what they have said. So I really think it's double what you've been hearing. So most of them have been saying the Biden administration, I think someone in there said 11 million. How do you come up with a specific 11 million thing? If they're saying 11, then it's double or triple that. So get this. No, even if it's the smallest amount you've heard, that would be the entire population of the four corner states: Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. It's more than those four states put together. Imagine shoving all of those millions of people, 10, 12, 13 million people into this country. And it's actually more like double that. So
Yeah,
I've
I
heard
saw.
it's going to go as high as 35 and 40 million. And I think it's actually closer to that.
Yeah, I think it's. I've heard a number of 40, and I saw a map last night, and we're just blanketed. Every single state. That means every single state and every single city, including and county, including yours. All of you out there need to
Right.
get involved. You
Yeah.
have to
Now,
get
somebody
involved.
just brought up Travis County, Texas. Folks, I said 85%. We're not going to get the liberal bastion cities or counties. You still need to go talk to your sheriff and say, why are we allowing these gangs and these criminals and the human traffickers and the sexual exploitation of children and the druggers bringing in the coyotes or whoever's bringing in all the fentanyl? Why are we allowing that to continue instead of trying to go after them? Go ask your sheriff that. Does he want this criminal element out of his county? Does he want to help? Does he hope that the president is successful in this? Then why would he not be participating? Is he pro crime or is he pro America and pro citizen? He swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. He swore an oath to protect all of you. So do not let his party or his past mistakes get in your way to make an appointment with him. Call him, go see him, have everyone call him as much as you can to where he knows that it's hundreds, if not thousands of people that want him to get involved in keeping you safe. 90% of the counties, maybe 95% of the counties in Texas want to stop this, especially the ones close to the border. There's Democrat sheriffs that want to stop this along the border and other places in the country. I don't care what party they are, and none of us should. We need to get them involved. If they refuse, go help your friends in a neighboring county. There's a lot of good counties around Travis County.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So if you make your appointment with your sheriff and he won't listen to you, then just mark that down for the next voting
Yeah.
season.
And,
And
and and don't let that stop you. Stop by his office and say you want to talk to him. Somebody will end up talking to you.
yeah,
Might not be the sheriff, but stop by his office. If he refuses to have an appointment, many of you stop by the office, not just all together, just various times, but 5 or 6 of you can go each time, 10, 20, yes, and then do it again. But don't let it stop. But then if you find out, do exactly what Celeste says. You leave a note for him and said, we know who we're voting for next time. You know.
yeah, and you can do a memorandum of support for this, and you
Yep.
can put the information at the Constitutional Sheriff's Organization, and Sheriff Mack will give that to you again at the end of the program. But this memorandum, and if you need any help with that memorandum, just email me at celeste at celestialreport.com. What that does is becomes part of it is a legal document. It is for the record. It goes down and they cannot destroy it. And you might send a copy of that then to your representatives and your senators, both at the state level and the, uh, you can just copy it out. You don't have to like write a separate one, but just copy it out, but send a copy to this state representative and senator and your congressman as well, so that everybody knows that you are supporting the sheriffs.
Amen. Yeah, good. And we're going to have a template, if you will, from a sheriff in Clickitat County, Washington, Sheriff Bob Songer. Yes, Songer, Songer. Never heard of that last name before. He's a dear friend, a great sheriff, a good man, and has a good wife that's totally supporting him. Folks, let's focus on the ones that will help and do something. But remember, it's 85% of these counties already supported Trump in the campaign. Why would they not want to now help him get this criminal element out of their counties and cities? Of course they do. And so I'm really sorry that it's come to this. This is a horrible situation to be involved in, but it was all done by the Democrat Party and some Republicans and whoever wrote corruption doesn't end at the party lines. You're absolutely correct. But we have a lot of good people that want to do something about this. And some of the bad people want to do something about it too, because it's too big. And they know they have to get on board or they're going to be left behind. And that's politically as well as logistically. So let's all make this a big movement. Okay. Tomorrow, Wednesday, is our CSPOA Posse webinar. Okay. You're all invited to be to that. You have to join the posse first, though. And we will have that template available for you so that you can look at how Sheriff Songer formed his posse in his small county. And so this is for a small county or it's for a big county. Sheriff Joe Arpaio had about 2,500 at one time on his posse in Maricopa County, the fourth largest sheriff's office anywhere in the United States. So let's get involved in this. This is now saving America. It's not just that we elected Trump. It's that we want to implement why we voted for him. His two main things, economy and the border. And they have a lot to do with each other. And one of the reasons why our economy got hit is because the influx of 4 states, probably more like 5 states, just all of a sudden within a 3-year period, infiltrated our country. Look at the strain that was on taxpayer dollars and all of our resources. This was huge. And why were the Democrats so willing to sacrifice national security and so much money for that? To get them on the voter rolls. That's the only benefit they had. Or some of the Democrats simply want to destroy America and our constitutional republic. Why? Because they want to establish a communist country. I'm sorry, but they do. I wish none of that was true. But reality and my lying eyes just keep seeing this over and over. So
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I don't like, I used to work for the government, and so I don't like endless rabbit trails. But I think that this is, since it's in the news, I think we really need to discuss it. And I can't think of a better person to at least mention it and get your expert opinion on it. Given the pardon of Hunter Biden, is it possible? I mean, they're already talking about these other pardons for other individuals. Do you know if the president has the pardon power to pardon all of these illegal aliens?
Ooh, you know what? I have not heard that one before. Oh my goodness. He probably has the power, but I don't believe it can be done logistically. Because he would have to specify a name on those pardons. And I don't think he could ever do that. And then if they did name them all, he would be aiding and abetting leaving them here. And he would be subject. He and Kamala and Mayorkas and numerous others and some in the states. Every sanctuary city for illegal aliens is against the law. They
Yes.
should have already been investigated criminally. The
Yes.
sheriffs of this country should have been investigating any and all of those public officials that did that. And if they continue to do that while they're trying to get rid of them and they obstruct justice, they should be investigated and arrested for that. And they continue to, and they now anew aid and abet criminals who are staying here illegally. And if public officials aid and abet that, that's against the law. That's a crime you can go to jail for. And so I think that all needs to come up. Your question legally is a very good one, but I don't think they could pull it off. And if it did, it would expose their own criminal activity. Because
Well, I think
if they're identifying people who are here criminally to then get them pardoned, that means that they aided and abetted their crimes.
But like, I don't think like Fauci has been convicted of a crime yet. I don't know. There might be some civil lawsuits, but I don't think criminally, to my knowledge, he hasn't been. And yet they're talking about pardoning him
because they know he has committed a crime.
Yes, yes. And Liz Cheney, and so that's what got me thinking about that. And I'm also, quite frankly, I'm concerned about the certification of the election. We still have to pass that hurdle. And isn't that on January 6th, which is
January 8th? January 8th.
Okay, I thought it was the 6th, but I'll feel better if it's the 8th.
Yeah, whatever day it is, but I understood that it was the 8th. But whatever day it is, it's about that time, and that's another huge hurdle. And then the inauguration's another huge hurdle.
Well, the inauguration, I think, can take place, but I think that certification is going to be critical for all of us, because we're going to know what track. Are they just kind of fading out of the woodwork, kind of, or are they gaining momentum? And I think you have to gauge your enemy,
Of course. And that's what I try to do every day. And that's why I come up to the only conclusion that's logical, is that they're here to do something very dastardly. They didn't infiltrate the country just to come over here and assimilate into our society and now be good Americans. That's not what this is about at all. And having tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of them here, they're going to do something.
Yeah, since like the early 2000s, they've been mapping power grids and water facilities. As a matter of fact, that's what I was doing on 9/11. I was working with the military, just checking roads, bridges, all infrastructure, dams, highways, to ensure, because nobody knew on the 9/11, 2001, how far this was going to go.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we are right now. We don't know how far this will go, but we have to stop it dead in its tracks.
We have to do it. Yes, and we the people have got to be involved. All of us have got to be involved. The sheriff works for you. He answers only to you. So let's take advantage of that. And folks, what you might want to take your sheriff, leave him a copy of this little book of mine, okay? And it's actually all of yours. This is a Supreme Court victory. The only time in U.S. history where sheriffs sued the federal government, the Clinton administration. I sued the Clintons and lived to tell about it. We won. And this is the most powerful state sovereignty, local autonomy, 10th Amendment decision in the history of our country. Ask your sheriff, hey, have you ever seen this, sheriff? This is a couple of sheriffs that sued the federal government to protect the office of sheriff. I know you'd be very interested in seeing that, because it's such a powerful case about local autonomy and sheriffs maintaining their power against the threats of the federal government. And so taking that and say, please read that. Look, this takes 10 minutes to read. And this is huge because it's the credibility that our entire movement received from the United States Supreme Court. Justice Scalia writing the decision. In this case, it calls the sheriffs, the CLEOs, the chief law enforcement officer. So right there, there's a huge step in understanding who is the ultimate authority in your county. It's you and your sheriff. Okay. Why do I say you? Because you're his supervisor. So folks, let's focus on what can help and can work. Again, look at the title. It fits right in your shirt pocket. It fits in your purse, fits in your back pocket. Keep it in your car, keep it in your house. Read it over with your family. This will shock you. It'll blow you away how powerful this is. But in fact, let's read something real quick here, just so we know. Look at the time. Yeah, folks, as Madison expressed it, the local or municipal authorities, cities, counties, school boards, governors, the local authorities form distinct and independent portions of the supremacy that they say they have and own. Not true. Read this case, Mack VUS. No more subject within their respective spheres to the general authority than the general authority is subject to them within its own sphere. So we have to know and understand jurisdictional authority here. And the federal government has very little of that. They do have some, but they have very little. The real authority is in the counties and the states. So let's use that. And folks, you can buy these at my website. They're very inexpensive, 3 for $5. Get a dozen or so and have these available for your friends and your local officials, especially. And don't forget your sheriff. He's the main one on that. So again, and join our posse when you're at our website, cspoa.org. Become a member, make a donation, help us with this cause of liberty. I can tell you, since we talked last, that we helped President Trump get rid of a horrible nominee. Horrible. And you would think I would be elated because the choice he made was a sheriff from Tampa, Florida. Well, Sheriff Chronister, I've used him as an example of what a sheriff should never do, that constitutional sheriffs would never be like him. And which sheriff do you want? The sheriff who protected a pastor in his church, or the one in Tampa, Sheriff Chronister, who arrested a pastor for having church in his county? So obviously, we were against him. He's been a Democrat, registered as a Republican. He donated to Barack Obama. He donated to DNC. Lots of other problems with this man. But the main thing is he has disdain for his oath of office and disdain for the Constitution.
So I've got a couple questions.
Yes.
So you've mentioned Posse a couple times, and for maybe those that are new, what would be the difference if somebody decided to join the Sheriff's Posse? What is the difference between that and like a militia?
It's the same principle.
Mhm.
Okay. So when I was elected sheriff, a local militia group called me and said, "Hey, we're here to help you anytime. Just let us know." Gave me his number. I said, "Well, thanks. Okay, good to know." If they come in and say, "We want to be available to be your posse," same thing. I can call out the militia. I can call out the people. The law in Arizona is that the sheriff can call out every able-bodied citizen to aid him in keeping the peace. That has been historical fact, not just in Arizona, but all across America. The 13 original colonies expanding west and creating new states and new territories and all of that. Posses were involved. They helped the sheriff keep the peace, make arrests, and bring people to justice. It's the
So
same today.
do you have to
And
be deputized if you're in a
If you're on the
party?
posse, you will get deputized. Yes,
Okay, okay.
and he doesn't necessarily have to. If the militia wants to come and help him, and he says, "Hey, come on." But me, I would be very careful with that, and I would deputize all of them so that they know they're under the authority of the sheriff's office.
Now, are there certain things, rules of conduct if you're in a posse?
Of course, he would. The sheriff can establish that however he wants, and so yeah, that I believe that there should be a letter stating that you never try to stop a vehicle in your personal car. You never try to go beyond what we've already told you is your job assignment. Uh, Anyone, a good Samaritan, any citizen, has the responsibility to stop an attack or someone from being a kid from being kidnapped or a lady getting beat up in a park. I actually had this happen to me. I was a school teacher and I went to lunch at a mall area, and a man started beating up his girlfriend right in front of me. And I went and pushed him down and told him if he got up, he could beat on me if he wanted to. So stuff like that, folks. We expect that you will all do that, whether you're a posse member or not. But yes, there needs to be some strict guidelines, and that will help the sheriff minimize his liability if they do make some mistakes. But some sheriffs are so scared of liability that they don't want to have a posse. That's absurd. Where did the sheriff get his power and his authority? Where did he get his badge? Where did he get the right to carry the gun? He got that from the people who elected him. That's from us. We delegate that power to the sheriff. We cannot delegate a power to the sheriff that we don't have. Of course, we have that. So, yeah, you're asking some great questions, Celeste. Thank you for that.
Well, I just also think I just wanna encourage everybody, even if you live in a rural excuse me, area such as myself. So I was involved in a young runaway, and they had a posse of 5,000 people stay, they were in twos, back roads, freeway entrances, overhead. They called in the tactical dogs. So this, even though you live I lived in the middle of nowhere. I had like nobody for hundreds and hundreds of acres or miles, and yet there were 2 people at, like, every little dirt road that there was. So even if you live in the middle of nowhere, you can participate and be active in these, and your sheriff would probably be pretty thankful if your job was just to monitor the back dirt road or maybe
Of course.
going on the highway or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very difficult to have a deputy assigned out to those remote areas. So yeah, of course, we're the eyes and ears for the sheriff, and of course we call when we see stuff, but we want to make it a little bit more official than that. And what if there's a flood that we had in Arizona, and we the posse was called out. The posse brought more people. They called their churches and their clergymen and got even more people out, and they got that flood taken care of no time. And a matter of fact, there were people literally lined up and down the streets, funneling water to the sandbags that literally created a canal right down the middle of the road. And thousands of people coming to help did that. Now we're all saying to the sheriff, if there's ever an emergency like that or any other emergency situation, you can call on us and we will help. The sheriff doesn't have look. The sheriff, when I was sheriff, I had 15 deputies to cover 4,500 square miles, and we had a lot of area that you were just talking about. A lot of dirt roads, a lot of wide open space. Well, the deputies have to focus on areas where there's substantial population, and so where there's a few that live out in the Tules like you did, man, yeah, we got to have other help. So
Well, and
it's just natural.
And there is this camaraderie that if we all come together for this, this deportation, um, whatever you call it, um, then then the sheriffs will feel comfortable calling y'all because you've got a good working relationship because you get to
Exactly.
know each other. And then in a flood or a natural disaster or something, the sheriff is likely to call upon you to help out, and because you have that good
Yeah.
working relationship. So what you're doing is establishing a relationship with your local sheriff. You're not just a name. You actually become a person with some very valuable skills and assets that you can bring to the table.
Well, yeah, and there's a one other thing, a couple other things I want to bring forth so that all of your listeners uh, uh, can be part of this too. He's called the richest man in the country, who I think is one of the most intelligent people in the world, Elon Musk, and somebody else who is very intelligent and successful, Vivek Ramaswamy, to be part of cutting the size of government and cutting spending that we should not be spending tax dollars on. The first to me that has to happen. Uh, I ask I ask people all the time, um, what's the worst thing going on in America? The number one worst thing, and actually about 20%, 25% of the time they come up with this one because it's kind of a spiritual and religious issue. The worst thing happening in America is that we have abortions on demand. We have partial birth abortions, and we pay $5.5 billion a year to a private organization, an NGO, a non-government organization. We pay them taxpayer dollars to provide those abortions and to commit those abortions. Now, I'm not even talking about, maybe somebody is pro-life on this program, maybe somebody's pro-choice. I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about, is there constitutional authorization for this government to force taxpayers to pay for somebody else's abortion? Is that a government service that should be paid for by taxpayers? And of course, the answer is a resounding no. That is not a government service. I have no obligation, morally or lawfully, to pay for somebody else's abortion. So that is the first thing that should be cut. It's a huge amount of money that goes to people who are not part of our government, and it is a private club or private organization. Should never be happening, and that should be first. And it is being discussed, and I was really glad to see that discussed by Speaker Johnson and Mr. Musk and Mr. Ramaswamy. And folks, we need to get behind that as well and let them know that. We want this to happen. The second one would be the IRS. Government corruption is at its zenith within the IRS and the FBI. Kash Patel is going to take care of the FBI. There are people within the FBI and former FBI agents, and I've been very close to the FBI my whole life. My father was an FBI agent. My cousin was an FBI agent, and he was deputy director of the FBI for a while. I know I've been to the FBI National Academy. Okay, I've been there, and I know what they do, and they've done it to me. Folks, we have got to stop this. We've got to get rid of it. And if Congress would just be willing to give up their power over us to intimidate us, to treat us cruelly, to control us through their FBI and IRS sources, if they would just make the income tax, and yes, I believe it should be abolished, but if they would just make the income tax fair and honest and graduate, and that nobody would pay over 10%, uh, I could live with that. And then we wouldn't even need the IRS. But as it stands, we need to get rid of the IRS save $20 billion a year right there on all the money that we feed them to come and take care of us. If it was simple and easy, we wouldn't need them. But the way it is, it's a monstrosity of confusion, and it is so unconstitutional. It is so unnecessary, and it's time that we got rid of this American nightmare. The Gestapo of America should be stopped the first week of Trump's administration.
I agree. There is this, the deportations are just the start. There's
Yeah.
so much that needs to be cleaned up. I'd like to see TSA go the way of the dodo bird extinct because I don't even fly. I drive everywhere. If I get a speaking engagement, I drive. I don't want to be hassled at the airport. So
I still fly, and it's not too bad.
it just depends who you are and if they're in a good mood or not. I had a nightmare, and that was at the very beginning. And so, fortunately, it was caught on tape. The 4 individuals involved were all fired because it was early on, but now it's, like I said, it's very subjective, and I don't wanna go through it. Now, I know you need to run, so please give us the website one more time, and also, um, how we can sign up for the organization, and what time is the webinar tomorrow night?
Okay, so it's 1:30 my time, which is Mountain Time. So that
Okay.
would be 3:30 3:30, sorry, Eastern. So 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, 2:30 Central Time, 1:30 Mountain, and 12:30 Pacific. And you've got to be on the list to get that invitation, folks. I'll be right up front with you. There are dues to be part of our posse. It's a whopping, I hope you're sitting down because this is a whole lot. It's $11 a month, and there's no contract. If you don't like what we're doing, stop. But I think you'll really like it, and not only that, you'll see the necessity of it. And if you don't want to do that, make a donation, or you can do a one-time $99 a year and make it just a one-time deal for 1 year, and then pay again in a year if you want to. So
So if you pay
do
the
the
90,
$99 thing. It's cheaper, and folks, you're helping us and we're helping you. And that's exactly what America is for. You're keeping us funded, and we're keeping you working with your sheriff and creating more solutions for the cause of liberty. So CSPOA.org, Constitutional Sheriffs Peace Officers Association. You go, wait, I'm not a cop. I'm not a sheriff. I've never been one. That's right. You're their boss. That's why we have you on our posse. And that's why we want to train you to work with your sheriff and be part of his posse. I've done all this before. I've sued the federal government and won. Do you know how many times that's happened in history? One time, once in 248 years. So the office of sheriff preceded our country. 3 signers of the Declaration of Independence were former sheriffs. And folks, we got Trump elected. The red wave happened. And now it's time to get to work. Do what you can. That's all I ask, is that you do what you can. Start with becoming part of the posse, and we will take it from there. Working together with our sheriffs. This is so important that we have that cohesive unit working together with our sheriffs. And folks, I saw one comment about how has the Savior abandoned America? I think it's the other way around. We have kicked him out of our schools. We have kicked him out of our halls of justice. And we've got to bring him back. And yes, this is God's work. This is a country that he established for his children. Freedom is for all people, all races, all creeds, all countries. Let's work together to make that happen. Where do we start? At home, in our own county, in our own community. It's time to be doers of the word, folks. Don't just listen to these great programs. And Celeste, thank you for all you do. And thank you for having me again. God bless us all.
Well, we sure had a miracle, and so let's build on that miracle that the
Absolutely.
Lord gave us.
Yeah.
And so thank you, Sheriff Mack, and I will does the $99 include the posse, or is it $99
Yes,
plus the
that's your
11 days?
posse membership. Yes.
Okay, so I did join after we spoke, I did join,
Oh,
but I
good.
didn't get a notification about the posse. Maybe I
Oh,
went
man.
in the
Well,
spam,
do I
maybe
have
it
your email? I'll make sure it gets on there. It's all done by email.
okay. Yeah, you should have my email.
Yeah, I think I do. So anyway, I'll make sure you get on there.
Okay, well, I'll nose around too.
Oh,
I'm resourceful.
we
So,
definitely want you there. Yes.
yeah, yeah, I'd love to be there. So,
Okay.
we will see you tomorrow. God bless each one of you. Thank you for your interest. And remember, we must be active. Yes, the red wave happened. Yes, President Trump is will be inaugurated, God willing, on January 20th. But we have to do our part because we need to clean up America now. So thank you, Sheriff Mack. Have a blessed day.
You too, Celeste. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
Okay. See you later, everyone. Bye.